their own frameworks and encouraging the digital asset industry to call their respective countries home. America's role as the global financial services leader is a privilege, not a right, and we must innovate to compete with other nations that want to attract American businesses. This is only the first step. Congress must pass comprehensive market structure legislation in the coming months that draws a line between a security and a commodity and creates a pathway for digital asset exchanges to register with the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. Working on this legislation has begun in earnest, and in the coming weeks, the Senate will begin to hold hearings and release draft legislation on this critical topic. I look forward to working with Chairman Scott, Leader Thune, and Senator Tillis on getting market structure done this year. I'm proud to deliver on President Trump's promise to lead the most pro-digital asset administration in our history. He understands that making America the crypto capital of the world isn't just good policy, it's an economic imperative. This legislation proves that when we work together, we can craft solutions that protect consumers without sacrificing innovation. The time for hesitation has passed. The time for leadership is now. I want to thank Leader Thune and Chairman Scott for their unwavering commitment to get this critical piece of legislation across the finish line. I want to thank my colleagues and our staff for the absurd number of hours that we spent in windowless rooms over the last weeks to bring this.
What's going on out there, guys?
It's
I'm gonna
not
hang out
too
here
late
and
for America to show the world
see
that
what
our
happens
nation
with this
doesn't
vote.
just adapt
Exciting
to
times in the
change.
crypto world.
We lead
The
it.
stablecoin
Let's get
Genius
changes
Act is a
passed
big
and
part
secure
of the
America's
future of crypto.
financial future. Mr. President, I yield back, and I note the absence of a quorum.
The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Also Brooks.
Hope everyone's doing good out there. Anybody have any comments or anything they want to talk about while we're hanging out here, just chilling? We're hanging out here waiting. We'll look at some stuff on X as well. Keep in mind, I just dropped the latest video out there. And we talked a little bit about ETFs. That should be coming here shortly. So we know we got the one in good old Canada. Went live or goes live tomorrow morning. Things are starting to pick up speed, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully,
Mr. President,
the SEC can
The senator from Tennessee.
get kicked in here and start to get ours passed here in the U.S.
on a
Senate
bipartisan
is in a
basis.
quorum call.
We in a quorum call? Okay. Passed.
Senate quorum call.
Consent to vitiate the quorum call.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today, on a bipartisan basis, the Senate will pass its first major digital asset legislation ever.
Let's
the Genius
go.
Act. With this bill, the United States is one step closer to becoming the global leader in crypto. The Genius Act establishes a pro-growth regulatory
They say they have the votes,
for
Johnny.
stablecoins. This bill will cement U.S. dollar dominance. It will protect customers. It will drive demand for U.S. treasuries, and it will ensure that digital asset innovation happens in the United States of America, not abroad. With Genius, the value of stablecoins will be pegged to the U.S. dollar and backed one-to-one by cash and short-term U.S. treasuries. This will provide certainty and confidence for more wide-scale adoption of this transformational technology. By combining the dollar's advantages with the speed and the efficiency
Remember, that's
of
what we've
blockchain
been talking
technology,
about. I've been a big
Genius
believer. We
Act
need these
facilitates traditional
regulations
finance's
to really
adoption of
cement
crypto
and give
and
the clarity
ushers
that we
in
need for these
a new
institutions
era
to really
of payments.
take off in this crypto
The
environment.
prospect of faster and cheaper payments will have far-reaching implications for our financial system. Once the Genius Act is law, businesses of all sizes and Americans across the country
How's it going, Leo?
will be able to settle payments nearly instantaneously, rather than waiting for days or sometimes even weeks. Put simply, stablecoins are a paradigm-shifting development that can bring our payment system into the 21st century. This legislation establishes
Spot on,
procedures for
Johnny.
issuing stablecoins. It designates clear roles for federal and state regulators. It implements standards for consumer protection, and it includes strong safeguards to deter illicit activity. Protections so that with the passage of Genius, stablecoin issuers could become the world's largest holders of U.S. treasuries by 2030. Such an outcome would enhance our physical resilience, and it will cement the U.S. dollar's dominance as the global reserve currency. The positive implications of this legislation are hard to overstate. Today will be remembered as an inflection point for innovation in the United States of America. I'd like to thank my colleagues for supporting this legislation. Particularly, I'd like to thank Leader John Thune, Senator Scott, Lummis, Gillibrand, and Alsobrooks for helping to get this legislation across the finish line. I'd also like to thank a wonderful staff, particularly calling out Luke Pettit, Chris Land, Catherine Fuchs, Bill Rockwood, Nick Larson, and Chris Toppings, all of whom have put in effort night and day to make certain that this legislation is a success. I look forward to getting the Genius Act signed into law in very short order. Thank you, Mr. President.
Let's get it. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, this is phase one. This is for the stable coins, but we need the rest of the regulation to pass after this with the Clarity Act and the framework so that all the institutions know exactly how to implement this tech that we're lucky enough to be able to hold. Where's everybody from that's on the stream right now? If you want to put it in the comments. Yeah, a little pump may happen, but again, my theory, I stay non-emotional. Pump or no pump, I don't plan on selling anytime soon until I hit my targets. Hey, Vicky, San Antonio. Love San Antonio. Silicon Valley. All right, Johnny. Hotlanta. Not too far away from where I am. Sweden. All right. That's on the bucket list of places to visit once we moon, so to speak. It's awesome. So you ladies and gentlemen have your strategies in place, exit strategies. You got your system in place. You know how you're going to execute. What exchanges do you use? Yeah, Brady D, that SEC Ripple stalled. So I put that out in the video I put out probably an hour ago, hour and a half ago now, I guess. It's not that it's stalled. What they did is they're delaying the appeals piece of it, and they're pushing it back to August only because they need to figure out what the Judge Torres, is going to do. So we're waiting on Judge Torres to figure out if she's going to allow the injunction to, you know, basically do
Clerk
away
report
with it.
Executive calendar number 9.
And then we should be good. But
Federal
because Ripple
Communications
had
Commission,
appealed and the
Olivia
SEC
Trustee
had
Maryland to
appealed,
be a member.
those dates were co-aligning. So rumor is we
Question
should
is
hear
on the
something from the
nomination.
judge this week, they say. But again, you know how
Is there
rumors are.
sufficient
We'll
second?
see what happens.
Can I? Appears to be. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Also Brooks, Ms. Baldwin, Mr. Banks.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Barrasso. Mr. Bennett. Mrs. Blackburn. Mr.
The
Blumenthal.
initial roll call.
Ms. Blunt
But exciting
Rochester.
times. Hey, when I got some of you folks on here, and some of you I see you're in
Mr. Booker.
the southeast. I haven't announced it yet, but we're going to be putting
Mr. Bozeman.
a meetup
Mrs.
together
Brett.
here at the beginning of next
Mr.
year,
Budd.
February, working with
Ms.
Alan
Cantwell.
Staple and the Staple crew.
Mrs. Capito.
So we're looking to have
Mr.
something down in
Cassidy.
Fort
Ms.
Lauderdale
Collins.
just to get
Mr.
folks
Coons.
together. Not a big
Mr.
event like
Corning.
Vegas, more of a family event, if
Ms.
you
Cortez
would.
Masto.
And hopefully
Mr.
by that
Cotton.
time we
Mr.
you know,
Kramer.
we see a big pop in the
Mr.
market.
Crapo.
So we'll all be
Mr.
really
Cruz.
excited.
Mr. Curtis. Mr. Daines. Ms. Duckworth. Mr. Durbin.
That is correct, Leo.
Ms. Ernst.
Trump
Mr.
wants everything
Fetterman.
on his desk by
Mrs.
August.
Fisher. Mr.
So
Gallego.
we're in line with getting these bills passed.
Mrs. Gillibrand. Mr. Graham. Mr. Grassley. Mr. Haggerty. Ms. Hassan. Mr. Hawley. Mr. Heinrich. Mr. Hickenlooper. Ms. Hirono. Mr. Hoven. Mr. Husted. Mrs. Hyde-Smith.
Always
Mr.
amazes me how
Johnson.
empty everything looks
Mr.
when we
Justice.
watch these roll calls and stuff.
Mr. Kane.
We got a wild system.
Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Kim. Mr. King. Ms. Klobuchar. Mr. Langford. Mr. Lee. Mr. Lujan. Ms. Lummis. Mr. Markey. Mr. Marshall. Mr. McConnell. Mr. McCormick. Mr. Merkley. Mrs. Moody. Mr. Moran. Mr. Marino. Mr. Mullen. Ms. Murkowski.
Yeah, Johnny. Alan and the Staple crew
Murphy.
are great.
Mrs. Murray.
Great channel, great people.
Mr. Ossoff. Mr. Padilla. Mr. Paul. Mr. Peters, Mr. Reed, Mr. Ricketts,
Yeah, I'm with you, Leo. I wish they'd
Mr.
sign all
Risch.
this before August, but we'll see
Ms.
what
Rosen.
happens. Time's
Mr.
flying though,
Downs.
ladies and gentlemen. If you remember,
Mr. Sanders,
seems like just yesterday we started
Schatz.
talking about everything that's
Mr.
going
Schiff,
on
Mr.
with
Schmidt,
regards to the regulation.
Mr.
So
Schumer.
things are moving.
Mr. Scott of
just-
Florida, Mr.
Some of us
Scott
have been here
South
for a
Carolina,
long time. So our patience, we're
Mrs.
just
Shaheen,
used to hanging
Mr.
out.
Sheehy, Ms. Slotkin, Ms. Smith, Mr. Sullivan.
Yeah, Johnny, we hang out over in, I
Mr.
met Alan
Thayer.
about a month
Mr.
and a half ago
Tillis.
in California.
Mr.
We're not
Tuberville,
probably too far
Mr.
from
Van Hollen,
the San Diego
Mr.
area
Warner,
there.
Mr. Warnock, Ms. Warren, Mr. Welch, Mr. Whitehouse,
But I think
Mr.
the big
Wicker.
plan is to do something on
Mr.
the
Wyden.
as regards to the meetup
Mr.
or
Young.
the conference, so to speak, is to do something in the southeast and then probably do something over towards the west as well, possibly up in the Washington area, I believe, because we have
Senators voting in the affirmative.
friends and family up that way
Banks,
as well.
Crapo, and Haggerty. Senators voting in the negative. Baldwin, Merkley, Murray, Schatz, Smith, Whitehouse, and Wyden. Mr. Markey, no.
And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, this is the unofficial tally in case if that's not picking up on your screen that they're going through right now.
Ms. Cortez Masto, no.
Of course. Yeah, I know, Leo. It's politics. I don't get it either. Why I'm not a politician, nor will I ever be. Then
Mr. Daines, aye. Mr. Ricketts, aye.
all right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get some yays in here. Let's go. So I'd asked that a minute ago, what exchanges do you guys and gals use out there?
Mr. Coons, no.
So I generally use Caleb and Brown, but if I'm coming off from Fiat, I'll use Uphold or Binance US. And keep in mind, Uphold's really doing a lot of integration. For those of you, I don't know how many of you have been following what's going on with Flare and capabilities coming for XRP and the staking capability, which I did that video and touched upon a lot of it the other day. But
Aye.
you'll have that ability on Uphold, to allow them to stake for you if you want to. I prefer, again, to keep my stuff in cold storage or in my own non-custodial wallets. But Uphold seems like a great platform.
Mr. Lujan? No. Ms. Rosen? No.
Yeah, Whiplash.
Mr. Hickenlooper?
Are you referring to
No.
exchange wise? As far as your exit strategy? And if you are, I'm not sure. You can check with Caleb and Brown. I'm not sure if they're registered in New York or not. New York's one of those tough states. You know, there are a couple exchanges there that are obviously you can utilize, but New York is not one of the states I would want to live in, unfortunately. Caleb and Brown's not registered. Copy. Yeah, I'd have to research to see what other platforms are available now in New York because it changes from time to time. But New York is a hard state. Yeah, I know Jake, and I've talked to Jake as far as going into that environment. He has a good setup. If you want institutional custody and you want someone else to kind of manage that and to earn some yield off of that,
Mr. Kennedy?
absolutely, you can do that. I've chosen not to do that at this time for myself with regards because of where I am. But at the end of the day, there's a couple different things we're talking about there, Whiplash, with regards to Jake. You could just be talking about the institutional custody, so you don't have to worry about maintaining your keys anymore. And above and beyond that, you could be earning, you may be talking about earning yield as well. But really, it's a cost analysis. Got to decide, if you're okay with the charges there. And, obviously, sounds like you may meet the minimum requirements. I think he's back up to 100,000 XRP you have to have in order to get in the door
Mr.
with
Booker?
Jake. He had lowered it, I think, last week down to 50,000 XRP again. But generally speaking, it's a 100,000 in order to work with Jake Claver.
Mr. Schumer? No. Mr. Risch? Aye.
Interesting. But I know, speaking of Caleb and Brown, they are working on setting up shop here in the U.S. The last I heard, they were going to set up in Florida, and I don't know if that will give them a little bit more capability from a regulation perspective to where they then will be able to service New York.
No.
But Whiplash, New York's just a hard one to crack. If I lived in New York and if I had to, I'd just move across state lines temporarily and then move back if need be.
Mr. Reed? No. Mr. Curtis, aye.
Yes, Whiplash. That's, that's a good point. If you're not technically savvy, and you don't feel comfortable maintaining your own assets, and you want to earn yield, yeah, using someone like Jake is fine. Obviously, we are still early in this thing, and we don't know what other capabilities, like in-kind ETFs, as an example, as these regulations, if we get them wrapped up finally, what's coming down the road. I mean, with an in-kind ETF, depending on how much you you own with regards to crypto, whether it be XRP or any other ones for that matter, you can easily go into an ETF. And the in-kind ETF, the difference is, in case you are not aware, is that you maintain your assets. So you just put up your assets basically as collateral. It would be collateral. You put your money up, and when you exit, you actually get the asset. In this instance, if we were talking about XRP, you would get that back. But there are so many different plays and levels to this game, as far as earning yield,
Mr.
lending.
Durbin, no.
Again, I talk about the lending all the time because that's also tax-free. And you hear many of these other content creators, some of them already use their Bitcoin, to go out, get a loan on, and then obviously go buy whatever they're going to buy. I, conservatively would make sure that I was going to buy other assets that were producing cash so that I could pay the loan back. But yeah, lots of layers, and we're going to continue to talk about that in the coming months and put different content out, like I did today. Just try to get your brain thinking about other avenues of, capital. We've been, we've been trained incorrectly with how money works. That's one of the larger things that we need to get over and understand: velocity of money and control of
Mr.
money,
Thune,
and
aye.
so we can maximize and go into this. As some of us, you may have a large amount of capital coming to you in the next 6 months. You just want to be prepared, and now is the time to think about, just like you, Whiplash, thinking about exactly what you want to do and which direction. If it's not an exit, which I will never
Mr.
exit,
Cornyn,
more likely my
aye.
XRP, all of it. But it's okay to take some capital off. A lot of these content creators,
No.
they're going to tell you to hold forever, but you want to be able to live too, and you want to be able to provide for your family. So there's a balance there, but everyone's situation is, different. Yeah, the big thing right now, Whiplash, is just stay safe and secure. And like I said, for me, there's one of
Ms.
our
Warren, no.
favorite senators right there. For me, one of the biggest thing is just maintaining
Tuberville,
your
aye.
assets right now, and make sure you have a good hardware wallet, software wallet. I prefer not to keep anything on exchanges. I do keep a little bit on Caleb and Brown, as I want to be able to swap. I just want the assets there so I don't have to worry about
Warner,
deploying them, and it gives me quick
no.
access to execute
Barrasso, aye.
trades immediately if there's a market downturn or whatever the case may be.
Mrs. Blackburn, aye.
So as we're waiting for this vote here, you can see Scott Bessent's been really putting out a lot of information here lately as a Treasury Secretary, but $3.7 trillion market by the end of the decade just in stable coins. I don't think we understand the tsunami and the wave of capital that's coming to crypto here in the next year or sooner, hopefully. Whiplash. I don't know anything about whitelisting your wallet. I'm not even
Mr.
sure.
Schiff,
I'm in the tech field and
no.
I have not heard that. People are saying you have to connect to the Zaman wallet now, the Zum wallet, if you hold XRP. Yeah, I mean, something doesn't sound right there. I don't have all the details, Whiplash. You know, if you're on X or whatever and you have that somewhere, you can DM it to me and I'll
Mr. Lee,
research that. But
aye.
it sounds like a scam. I mean, there's so many scams out there right now. I mean, you get people calling you on your phone, you know, telling you your Coinbase account has been corrupted and trying to help you with this and that. And you just, you have to be vitally careful out there, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Hawley, aye. Mrs. Capito, aye. Mr. Young, aye. Mr. Husted, aye.
All right, guys. This isn't a political channel.
Mr. Peters, no. Mr. Moran, aye. Mrs. Fisher, aye. Mr. Bennett, no.
Uh,
Mr. Marshall, aye. Mr. King, no. Ms. Ernst, aye.
So Whiplash, crypto is real to buy real estate as leverage. I mean, there's capabilities already now, mostly with Bitcoin. You could take a loan on Bitcoin now and buy real estate if you wanted to. The problem is the rates. I don't know how long again, it's the
no.
regulation. That's why we need this clarity and we need this regulation so that we actually can get to a
Mr.
point where they can
McCormick,
implement
aye.
all
Mrs.
this
Britt,
stuff within the
aye. Mr.
system.
Mullen, aye. Ms. Collins, aye. Mr. Murphy, no.
But I do believe Whiplash in the near future. And when I say near future,
Ms.
within the
Herrero,
next
no.
year, couple years at the most,
Bozeman, aye.
we're going to
Mr.
have
Scott
all
of
these
Florida,
capabilities that we can't even think of
aye.
right now. Because we already can see the banking industry and the institutions coming on board. And they're going to want to find ways that they can continue to make money. And
Mrs.
remember, in this
Smith,
new
aye.
financial infrastructure that's changing, you know, they're going to lose some money from a fee perspective. So they're going to figure out other ways to make additional funds, whether that be through us,
Justice,
lending our crypto for leverage,
aye.
to buy real estate, to buy cars, to buy, whatever. And then we got to ask ourselves too, is it
Wicker,
smart to do that?
aye.
That's why I said I would take a
Mr.
loan out
Heinrich,
on my crypto. I would not
no.
buy
Mr.
something
Kim,
with my crypto. I don't
no.
want to be
Mr.
the
Kane,
Bitcoin pizza guy and look back and in 15 years, we look back and, what I bought,
Mr.
that
Langford,
asset, I
aye.
gave up that asset to go buy something with it, like a car or a vehicle. At least the house is a little bit different. At least it's an asset that, at least right now, continues to earn and gain value. But these are all big decisions, things that we'll
Mr. Kane,
see.
no.
So
Mr. Scott of South Carolina, aye. Mr. Cassidy, aye. Mrs. Moody, aye. Mr. Johnson, aye. Mr. Grassley, aye. Mr. Marino, aye.
So I think, ladies and gentlemen, what we're looking for is 60 votes, if I recall correctly. And they had a 68 to 30 cloture vote, the last, to advance it to this point. It's amazing how long it takes to just do a vote. Yeah, exactly, Whiplash. It's going to take some time, but we'll be here. Don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. Said the big thing is that the blessing in disguise is
Mrs. Shaheen,
we're still early
no.
and we
Mr.
still have time
Tillis,
to accumulate a lot of
aye. Mr.
these precious
Sullivan,
assets.
aye.
Really a blessing. But I believe once things start to take off and utility, kicks in, it's going to be a different ball game. MH, I believe
Mr. Ossoff,
it's 60.
no.
So I was just looking to see that. I believe it was 60. The other day they had a 68 to 30 cloture vote to pass this along. But I believe the magic number is 60. But let me see if I can find that and verify it for you, MH.
Ms. Also Brooks, no. Mr. Cruz, aye. Mr. Sheehy, aye.
I'm reading it may only be 53 that's required because of the cloture
Mrs.
vote
Gillibrand,
that they passed the
no.
other day to waive the rule for full majority.
Mr. Fetterman, aye. Mr. Hoven. Aye. Mr. Paul. Aye.
Let's get them eyes. Come on. Yep, Scott, you're right. It is a simple majority.
Ms. Blunt Rochester, no. Ms. Slotkin, no. Mr. Sanders, no. Mr. Schmidt, aye. Mr. McConnell, aye.
Yeah, like I said, ladies, I mean, they said they had the votes to pass it today. They were confident on everything. Haggerty, in many interviews, believes it's going to pass. They'd have no issue. So, very exciting. Good to see some movement.
Yeah. Ms. Klobuchar, no. Mr. Van Hollen, no. Ms. Cantwell, no. Mr. Kramer, aye. Where? Mr. Gallego, no. Ms. Lummis? Ms. Lummis, aye.
Come on. Get it. Come on. Man.
Ms. Duckworth, no. Mr. Graham, aye. Mr. Blumenthal, no.
You guys think about USDC being on XRPL now. XRPL is picking up steam with regards to the stable coins it has on it now. That is really setting it up to allow more DeFi.
On this vote, the yeas are 53, the nays are 45, and the nomination is confirmed. Under the previous order, the motion to reconsider is considered made and laid upon the table, and the president will be immediately notified of the Senate's actions. Under the previous order, the Senate will resume legislative session and resume consideration of S 1582, which the clerk will report.
Calendar number 66, S 1582, a bill to provide for the regulation of payment stable coins and for other purposes.
The clerk will read the title of the bill for the third time.
Calendar number 66, S 1582, a bill to provide for the regulation of payment stable coins and for other purposes.
The question is on passage of the bill as amended. Is there a sufficient second? There appears to be. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alsobrooks, Ms. Baldwin, Mr. Banks, Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Bennett,
No.
Yeah, the USDC MH is USDC being on XRPL is massive. Again, things are really starting to pick up speed. I mean, we got new information every day. Last week was a whirlwind of
Mrs.
information.
Blackburn.
We're seeing all these companies establishing XRP treasuries, you know, similar to a Bitcoin treasury and reserve.
Mr. Blumenthal,
Just a lot of positive movement, you
Mr.
know.
Rochester, Mr. Booker, Mr. Bozeman, Mr. Bozeman, Mrs. Britt,
Well,
Mr.
remember,
Bud.
Whiplash, XRP
Ms.
can't be a
Cantwell.
security. It's already been ruled that it is not a security. However, they could, you know, the programmatic piece of it from the Ripple perspective of them selling it to institutions the way they were doing would have been a security. Yeah, I think they've got to actually do the official vote, but you know, that was the initial unofficial tally to validate that it was going to go through. But looks like we're going to have ourselves a genius bill, ladies and gentlemen.
Ms. Cantwell, Mrs. Capito, Mr. Cassidy, Ms. Collins, Mr. Coons, Mr. Cornyn, Ms. Cortez Masto.
I think they're actually
Mr.
calling everybody
Cotton,
in for the actual
Mr. Kramer,
roll call, if
Mr.
you would. That's what the
Crapo.
countdown is for there. So the initial
Cruz.
thing we watched for the last 30 minutes was basically just the
Mr. Curtis, Mr.
The unofficial
Daines,
tally.
Ms. Duckworth.
now you can see everybody
Mr.
coming in. I
Durbin,
believe they'll
Ms.
go through an
Ernst.
official roll on the Genius Bill as
Mr.
amended,
Fetterman,
and then have a final vote. And based off the
Mrs.
pregame
Bishop, Mr. Gallego, Mrs. Gillibrand,
We're
Mr.
gonna have
Graham,
it.
Mr. Grassley.
history in the making. Politics is crazy to me. I don't know enough about it to to really know exactly what all the procedures are. Maybe somebody out there is a little smarter than me on the politics. I try to stay away from politics at all costs, but I figured when it is benefiting crypto and digital
Mr.
assets,
Haggerty,
pay a little more attention to it.
Ms.
Yeah,
Hassan,
MK. I don't know how long
Mr.
it'll take to
Hawley.
get to his desk
Mr.
after this.
Heinrich, Mr. Hickenlooper, Mr. Rono, Mr. Hoven,
I don't
Mr.
know what
Husted, Mrs.
other
Hyde
steps
Smith,
are
Mr.
required.
Johnson, Mr. Justice, Mr. Kane,
But again, he
Mr.
wants
Kelly.
everything signed and done by August.
Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Kim,
What you doing? What's the matter?
Mr. King,
Y'all can hear my dog. We got a little lightning storm here, and my dog's going crazy.
Ms. Klobuchar, Mr. Langford. Mr.
Yeah, okay, that's
Lee,
what I'm tracking.
Mr.
Before
Lujan,
August, they'd like to have it before
Ms.
August.
Lummis, Mr. Markey, Mr. Marshall,
Again, patience is the key. I don't know how long some of you have been in this
Mr.
This
McConnell,
market.
Mr. McCormick.
attaboy. That's the
Mr.
mindset,
Merkley, Mrs.
MK.
Moody,
Still time
Mr.
to
Moran.
accumulate. Absolutely.
Mr. Moreno, Mr. Mullen, Ms. Murkowski, Mr. Murphy, Mrs. Murray, Mr. Ossoff, Mr. Padilla, Mr. Paul, Mr. Peters, Mr. Reed, Mr. Ricketts,
You okay?
Mr. Risch,
No.
Ms. Rosen,
All right. Come on.
Mr. Rounds,
Stay.
Mr. Sanders, Mr. Schatz,
Stop. Relax. Stop.
Mr. Schumer, Mr. Scott of Florida, Mr. Scott of South Carolina, Mrs. Shaheen, Mr. Sheehy, Ms.
7
Slotkin,
minutes.
Ms. Smith, Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Thune, Mr. Tillis, Mr. Tuberville, Mr. Van Hollen, Mr. Warner, Mr. Warnock, Ms. Warren, Mr. Welch, Mr. Whitehouse, Mr. Wicker, Mr. Wyden, Mr. Young.
Yes, MK. Generational wealth is what it's about, but I think you'll be able to enjoy a lot of it as well. But passing it on to the next generation is going to be a blessing, assuming that they're structured correctly and we train them to understand how to utilize the money.
Senators voting in the affirmative: Barrasso, Blackburn, Booker, Bozeman, Capito,
That's
Cassidy,
why, with regard
Kramer,
to generational wealth, that's
Cruz,
why I talk about the trusts as well.
Curtis,
Having a trust is vitally
Fetterman,
important
Gallego,
for
Gillibrand,
establishment of being able to
Graham,
pass
Grassley,
tax
Haggerty,
deferred
Heinrich,
income to the next
Hickenlooper,
generations.
Husted, Hyde-Smith, Johnson, Justice, Kennedy, Kim, Langford, Lee,
Going to be a fun
Lummis,
problem to have, though.
Marshall, McConnell,
What to
Moody,
do with all the money?
Moran, Moreno, Mullen, Ossoff, Paul, Rosen, Schmidt, Scott of South Carolina, Slotkin, Sullivan, Tillis, Warner, Warnock, Wicker. Mr. McCormick, aye. Mr. Young, aye. Ms. Ernst, aye. Mrs. Britt, aye. Senators voting in the negative: Bennett, Blumenthal, Blunt Rochester, Cantwell, Duckworth, Durbin, Hirono, Kane, King, Klobuchar, Markey, Murphy, Murray, Peters, Reed, Sanders, Schumer,
Leo, I'm 50.
Shaheen, Smith, Welch, Wyden.
Yeah, MK. You definitely want to, when you start to look at trust, I don't know if you follow the Staple crew or Alan Staple or not, but good friends with him.
Mr. Van
Kind of a
Hollen.
divergence from
Mr.
him. He's the
Van
one that actually
Hollen.
told me to start putting some
No.
content out there and just, trying to help some people. But Alan has resources with regards to trust because not all trusts are created equal. You can go to some of these
Schiff,
attorneys
Mr.
and you can
Schiff,
get
aye.
a life trust as an example, and it's not going to do much good. So, when you start looking into the trusts, you want to make sure you get the
Mr.
right
Hoven, Mr.
right
Hoven,
kind.
aye.
Specifically, it's called a spendthrift trust. It's something to look at as one of the mechanisms within the trust. And because as you're establishing, other LLCs, you may go out and buy income or
Sheehy,
whatever the
Mr.
case,
Sheehy,
or
aye.
income. You may buy assets like rental properties or whatever the case may be. You'll have active income coming into
Mr.
those
Crapo, Mr.
as
Crapo,
well.
aye.
So the structure of the trust is big time important. Good, MK. I haven't seen you out there. If I have, I don't recognize the. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you've commented, and I just never picked up on it. '50s is young. I like to say 50 is the new 20. Not yet. I don't think it's officially passed yet. You see there it says unofficial tally. I don't know if this. I mean, if we need it 51, which I believe is what is the requirement? If that is the official vote, then it would have. It has passed.
Mr. Markley, no.
But they're still calling roll. So. Yeah, I mean, age is just a state of mind. Why just stay active, stay in the gym, enjoy life, and just keep going. It's all that mindset stuff that I talk about. Experiences. How many of you want to,
Mr.
how many of you like
Rhodes,
the
Mr.
beaches?
Rounds.
I look forward
Aye.
to
Ms.
hanging
Warren,
out
Ms.
on the
Warren.
beaches of the world.
No.
That's why I say that a lot in my videos. Love hanging out at the beach.
Mr. Banks, Mr. Banks. Aye. Mrs. Fisher, aye.
Yeah, buy a beach house. Yeah, it's going to have to hit pretty good for me to do that, but I'm all about it.
Ms. Also Brooks, Ms. Also Brooks, aye. Mr. Coons, no. Ms. Cortez Masto, Ms. Cortez Masto, aye. Ms. Collins, Ms. Collins, aye.
It's going to pass, without a doubt. Yeah, I know, MK. They are slow. I'd take 200 plus in 5 years. Leo, absolutely. I mean, I don't speculate on price. I leave others to do that.
Mr. Lujan, aye.
But XRP, you know, Jake, we mentioned Jake Claver earlier. Someone was mentioning him as far as utilizing his services possibly. But, you know, Jake's a strong proponent that when all this kicks in, you know, it is going to shoot up like a rocket between the ETFs and all the liquidity coming in, the utility actually coming on board, all these treasuries that are being implemented. You know, I just say price is going to go up without a doubt. I know that in my heart of hearts. And I don't like to speculate on numbers because I don't want to give anyone false hope out there that may be counting or banking on it. So I try to stay away from specific numbers. But, you know, Jake is in the wheelhouse of, you know, when this thing takes off later, and that's why I'm shooting Q4 of this year still, when all this massive liquidity comes in and the markets kind of stabilize. He's of the, you know, he believes it's going to shoot to $100 fairly quickly. But for me, you know, I'm more conservative, and I don't plan on you know, hopes, so to speak. I'm more of a realist. I don't think there's a flip of the switch. I think it's definitely going to go up. You know, $15 this year, sure. I mean, with everything going on. But we will see. That's what's exciting about it. And that's why now is the time to prepare, ladies and gentlemen. Have your strategy in place. Know exactly, because if you have not been through it, you know, I've been here through a couple cycles and just been hanging on, just waiting for the, you know, the big cycle, waiting for all these regulations to pass. But when you start to see things skyrocket, man, that FOMO can absolutely kick in, and you just have to have, you know, stay non-emotional And if you have your plan written down and you know exactly who you need to talk to and what you're going to do, that's why I talk about a laddered approach. And that's why I'm diversified across the board. I don't just hold Amata Maxi on XRP, though I love it. Absolutely love XRP, but I have these other investments in digital assets so that I can pull capital off of those to give me a little bit of breathing room if I want to shed some capital, because I want to hold XRP as long as possible. You know, a substantial bag of it, should we say, you know, but everyone's situation's a little bit different. You know, you may have bills to pay, you know, you may be younger and you can hold for another 30 years if that's what you want to do. That's fantastic. Some of us that are up in age a little bit more, well, I want to do some things now. So I want experiences, but that's why I say everybody's strategy is going to be a little bit different, and just gotta plan the best you can and be safe. Yep. 14%. That's what Brad said. 14% of Swift in 5 years. And he's probably being conservative, knowing Brad. Garlinghouse says, who said that, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't see the comment.
Mr. Daines, aye. Mr. Cornyn, aye. Mr. Padilla, aye.
It's in the bag. It's been passed.
Ms. Hassan, aye.
They're just going through the practice now. It's official, ladies and gentlemen. We got our Stablecoin Genius Act bill has passed. History in the making. We were all here to witness. This is the greatest time to be alive. Absolutely fun.
Mr. Whitehouse, no.
Exciting times. Again, we
Mr.
still got a
Schatz,
lot of work to do. We want to get this other regulation through as soon as possible. The framework regulation, you know, the Clarity Act. We need all this regulation to get through to the president's desk so we can write it into law, and we are off to the races. We drop, you know, we get this SEC case beyond us, which we talked about that earlier in this broadcast here. You know, we have the ETFs coming. We have so much to look forward to in the next 3 months. And that's why I'm still shooting for end of Q3, Q4 for an explosion. Now, I believe the market's going to pop a little bit going into August, but I think the massive explosion is going to happen Q3, after Q4, and then onward. But time is running out. It feels like I was just talking about this in, you know, early February about having your plan laid down. Please make sure you have a plan, because you're going to have to be ready to execute, because when this thing starts to take off and that rocket ship lights, you know, it's so easy to buy into the FOMO and just think you're going to try to squeeze out another, you know, $2, $3, whatever the case may be, whatever your targets are. That's why it's good to have them written down. And when you hit the mark, press the button. Don't wait. I've been there and watched it go. I've watched it climb all the way up to the top. And I kept on going, one more day. I can get another $2 out of it, or whatever the case may be, whatever I was trying to watch pump up. And I'd wake up in the morning and it absolutely fell off the cliff. Now, the difference being, in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, is now things are really starting to ramp up and we're in a different structure. So that bear and bull market, that 4-year cycle, I believe, is going to change, especially when utility comes in and the institutions come in. It's going to bring more stability, but I don't want to take a chance. If there is another bear market, which, some folks say there's going to be, some folks don't. I don't know. I don't want to take the chance. I want to pull a little bit of profit off
Mr. Scott,
this go
Mr. Scott
around
of
if
Florida.
I hit the targets.
Aye.
But that's the key. You want to hit your targets. You want to have your strategy and your plan ready to go. Yep, Leo, that's kind of how I'm thinking too. I think when utility kicks in, it is going to stabilize the markets a little bit more, because you're not going to want, these institutions are not going to want, there's still going to be volatility. I just don't think it's going to be at the degree that we've seen 50% decreases like we've seen in the past. Good on you, MK. I see your comment there, Seal Coin. I'm not familiar with that one. I have to look that one up, MK.
Mr. Hawley, no.
But ladies and gentlemen, I got to go get some dinner. I've appreciated your time here this evening. This was fun. We all watched history in the making. They're going through the final little bit here, but the bill has passed, and this is step one leading into the next couple months of excitement. Continue to hang on. And, my DMs are open in X. If you're out on X, hit me up on X, join out there on X, and just remember, I am never going to reach out to you ever directly. If you reach out and you DM me, I will DM you back, but I don't reach out directly. There's been some mischievousness going on out there and people taking my persona and utilizing it and reaching out to folks. I just want you to be safe. That's the only reason I'm out here, is just to create the content, keep you updated, build a community together that in the future, when these things pop, we got someone to hang out with that resonates the same, because we are still small. There's so many people, I meet them every day, day in and day out, that have no understanding of what crypto is. All they know is Bitcoin. That it is called Bitcoin, but they don't understand where things are going. And that was the point of this channel and this content, trying to get this information out to folks. The ones that take it will take it. The ones that don't, well, God love them. But we're going to have a fantastic future ahead of us, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll be dropping more content throughout the week. I appreciate everybody and can't wait to meet you in person someday. With that, be safe, and Zip is out.